Hello, everyone. At the moment, you're muted. I'm just waiting for more people to join. Very glad to have you. Thank you for being here. I might as well start, and I will be admitting people as we go. So welcome. Thank you very much again. My name is Zorina Dimitrova. I am the founder of grownlearn.org and of healandlearn.com, platforms for consultations and coaching with experts in various... Hello, Felicia. Hi. So these are platforms for consultations and coaching on personal development and business development. Thank you very much for freeing up an hour of your time. I know you're probably busy. It's Friday. It's a working day, so I appreciate it. But I'm going to show you something new. I'm going to teach you something new, which you have probably not considered in the light of decision-making, in the light of finding solutions out of the ordinary, which is what I've been practicing and training people on my platform, Heal and Learn, for the past several years. My background is originally in strategy, in telecoms, in technology companies. I've worked in strategy, in financial controlling, in marketing. And afterwards, I became an entrepreneur. And now I'm managing these two platforms. The method that I'm going to teach you today has helped many businesses and many business owners make the right decisions and grow their business. It's not something that I've made up and it hasn't been tested. It's actually been tested for, can't calculate how many years, but it's since 66, it's officially, people have been officially trained in this method. So just to let you know that if you cannot, this will take 1 hour. If you cannot make it till the end, don't worry about it because you will receive a recording. So you can leave at any time. I know it's Friday. And if you decide to stay till the end, I will open a Q&A after this session, and I will also present the services that I'm offering to businesses and the group program that I have. All right. So what is it that I'm talking about? This is that is so extraordinary, it's so new in terms of business decision making. It's actually not new, but it hasn't been rolled out in business. What I'm talking about is research on mind control, research on subjective information. We are used to making decisions in business using objective information. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's only not the optimum way of decision making. And business schools are now starting to realize, and research centers in business schools, I was recently, just now actually reading articles in business schools doing research on intuition and how to reconcile intuition and business decision making. And they state that until now, there hasn't been a process that reconciles both of these. But there actually is such a process, and it's been existing for a very long time. It just hasn't been very much commercially applied to businesses and for the growth of businesses. It hasn't been included in business strategy, which I think is a huge miss on the part of businesses. All right, so let's think for a second about decision-making. Why are we struggling with decision-making, which is the topic of today's talk? We need to make a decision if we're struggling for a while, if there's something that we objectively cannot decide, we cannot solve a problem. There are two types of decisions, generally speaking. One is to choose between options, and another type of decision is to come up with a solution. We don't know what the decision would be, but we need an extraordinary solution. And such a solution can be anything from a new strategy, new business model, which market to enter. A decision between choices can also be that. If you've already done your research on your next steps in business, and you know that you have 3 options, and now you have to choose, and you're not quite sure, because for whatever reason, the numbers that you're logically getting can be contradicting. Or there could be something that would skew the results, such as a guarantee to a product that you want to buy, just as an example. So there are many situations where the logical mind does not suffice to make a decision. Now, the research that I'm talking about has been done, it started, or at least to my knowledge, it has been started by Mr. José Silva in 1944. He researched until 1966, until he launched his program. Now, his program is called the Silva Method for Mind Control. But this methodology is not simply for mind control. As we are used to hearing or to thinking about mind control as being something esoteric, something with no practicality. Actually, everything that he designed as trainings is very practical and can be applied in any area of life, including business. He co-wrote books with business professors, with university professors and experts in all areas of life. Now, around this time, between 1944, I'm just sharing with you a little bit of the background of this research. Between 1944 and 1966, while José Silva was doing his research, a three-letter agency approached him, the CIA. At that time, they were starting to employ, they had heard about him, and they were starting to employ psychics for their Stargate program. The Stargate program is a program, again, for subjective communication, but not only. I'm generalizing here. This is for tapping in the mind aspects that are not objective, so they're not visible. You cannot track them. They're something that we perceive internally. And psychics don't have a great reputation, and esoterics also not in the business world. So that's why we're going to be speaking about subjective perception and subjective communication. But more or less, it is perception that is not available through our normal senses. So the CIA approached José Silva, and he offered them the entire program, but they decided to develop it on their own and eventually released the Stargate program to the public in 2003. They started releasing documents from it. Now, similar programs were done for mind control in all major governments in the world. They were conducted in the ex-Soviet Union. Between 81 and 92, there was a program also involving around 500 extrasensory people, and they were studying how these people could activate and make use of their extrasensory extra senses. This program was partially released in 92 under a program called DEIR, which stands for Further Energy Information Development. And nowadays, research was done sparingly here and there, sporadically, but nowadays the people that talk about the ability for subjective perception of the mind, and I'm sure you've heard about them, are Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, all of these names that are still not taken too seriously by businesses. But research has been done by José Silva, and admittedly, 100%, there is a direct correlation between working with the subjective mind and results. In the 70s, he studied 10 groups of 12 CEOs of large corporates. They were all listed companies. And these groups were plugged in with electroencephalograms. It turned out that the ones who had managed to double the profit in the previous 5 years were all answering the questions in alpha. So José Silva and his team would ask them a question, and then the CEO would either answer in beta, which is a level of brainwave activity of the awakened as we are awake, and some people would, for a few seconds, go back in alpha, which is the level of the mind between kind of like a dreamy state between being awake and falling asleep. And so these people would answer naturally in alpha. And it turned out that there's a direct correlation between the people who would naturally go in alpha to answer a question, to come up with a decision about something, and the people who operated purely from their logical mind in beta. There was a direct correlation proven in the results of the companies. The people who only answered in beta actually reduced the profits of their companies since they had been CEOs in the previous 5 years. This is just to illustrate the importance of this level of the mind. Now, I'm briefly going to show you something from the Silver Institute. It's a graph of the brainwave activity. I promise I will not be very long about this, just to explain the brainwave activity. So these are cycles per second, 4, 7, 14, 25. Let's look at the middle column. This level, delta, is the level of the brain cycles a second when we are asleep. It's actually usually below 3. And below these levels, these are being unconscious, where you have surgery, painless, you can read it yourself, dentistry, childbirth. So actually these cycles per second roughly correspond to the ages in which a human mind transitions between the brain waves. So a baby, including from when a baby is a fetus until the age of 3, 4, they operate in delta. From 4 to 7, they operate in theta. Roughly, from the first change of the tooth, it could be 6 or 7, they start operating in alpha. And roughly 14, which is when they enter puberty. Actually, these days, it's much earlier, around 10, 11 children enter puberty. The moment they enter puberty, the majority of the people start thinking in beta. So they have no access to this inner subjective perception, apart from 10% of the people. 10% of the people, for some reason, retain this ability throughout their lives naturally. The good news is we can all develop it. And so this is what we're going to be using for making decisions. There are certain techniques that can be used to make the right decision. It is very important to know, though, that any technique that is used in alpha, in this level of brain activity, functions better when it's first, when the mind is first inundated with all the logical information that you can get your hands on. This means the activation, first of all, this level of activity, on average 10 cycles a second, called alpha, allows you to connect both brains, the right and the left hemispheres, not both brains, both hemispheres of the brain, and allows you to have access both to the logical mind and to the mind of imagination, of creation. And now, the good thing about working in alpha is that you're not like hypnotized. When you're hypnotized, you have no control over your logical mind. You're susceptible to outside influences. But in this level, you're functioning as a purely awake person. You just have more imagination. It's not like anything significant changes. There are no bodily changes. You will not feel weird. You just feel relaxed. It's a state of mind where you feel absolutely relaxed, and when you can start playing and imagining. So to confirm further this research, and then I'm going to talk about ways we can solve and start making decisions properly using alpha state. But these methods, as I said, were measured by, or the brain waves, and the research was done using electroencephalograms that records the brain waves. Such such an experiment was done with MBA students. One of the research was done actually in the school that I graduated, ESADE Business School, and students were given cases. And so it also turned, the study was a bit different, not exactly as Jose Silva does it. And it was more about group work, but still it had to do with both group work and the creativity of the person working in a group. The was skewed towards different findings, but again, people that whose brain waves were more relaxed, more in alpha level, these groups were able to produce better results. All right. Now, if you want to ask me any question, you can type in the chat, raise your hand, or comment, or otherwise I'll keep the questions to the end, whatever you prefer. If you want to ask me a question, you can. All right, let me see where I reached the point of. So before we continue about decision making and how this can improve your business results, your team milieu, so the environment in which you're working, I would like to share some applications that I've personally used decision making and coming up with creative solutions so that you have an idea where you can apply it. So when I was working in telecommunications, I had applied it to develop new business models. And the way I did it was exactly the way I'm going to teach you to come up with a creative solution. So I've come up with new business models. I have actually, through subjective communication, had been invited to different positions 3 times within 1 month when I was promoted at that time. So the applications of this methodology of subjective communication are vast, but let's focus on business decision making. Before we can continue, Jose Silva, that I have based a lot of my trainings on, they're not entirely based on Jose Silva because I take into account also NLP, other 3-letter agency development programs, and some coaching modalities that I'm also teaching in my courses. But this particular method is to a large extent based on the Silva method. So there are some rules for subjective communication, and I'm going to read them to you. Actually, I'm going to show them to you. I'm going to share a screen. And these are important no matter if you are working in alpha or not. So it doesn't matter. These are, how should I say, life philosophies that if somebody adopts, you would receive results anyhow. So when you're in alpha, treat others the way you would like to be treated. Like, duh, it's normal. It's also like a life advice for everyday living. The solution should help make this planet a better place for living. The solution should be the best for everyone involved. The solution should help at least 2 people, preferably more. It has to be in the realm of the possible. And also a quote from Jose Silva, we don't get rewarded with what we get, but by what we give. So even if you don't do any work in alpha, because it's not called meditation, it's called work, you're going in this meditative state, although it's not meditation, it's just a relaxed state of mind to solve a particular problem. It's not a Buddhist type of meditation where you're searching for yourself. And just to back up this, the statements of Jose Silva, that, as I said, even if you follow only them, you will still do better in business. For example, the solution should help at least 2 people, preferably more. If you have the interest of your client in mind and not only your profit, for sure you will, or for everyone involved. When you're designing a product, you want everyone involved to profit, not just the company, right? So if you have this in mind, you will for sure design products that are better accepted and more profitable and more competitive. And speaking about that, one book that I started reading, but I've interviewed the author of this book, Be Different or Be Dead by Roy Ozing. And let me know, so this book is written by a Canadian CEO of TELUS, also a telecommunications company. And an interesting quote that I saw somewhere here, and I marked it, it has to do again with this statement: the solution should help at least one other person than you. Or let's say then, if you're many options, I'm not going to go into that. Just wanted to talk to you or give you a quote about instinct and the way he grew his company. Instinct, intuition, you know, I use them interchangeably here, although by definition they're a bit different. But in this context, I'm using them interchangeably. So briefly, I'm going to read you what he states is a sure way to failure of leadership. It's a leadership book, basically, but he also talks about the way to success, the way how he brought TELUS from a startup company to a billion-dollar company in Canada. So he says, you fail if you're governed by your logical, practical side, your left brain. Your right brain or emotional side is in the background. You let your mind lead you rather than allowing your feelings to play an active role. So this is not to say that you should negate your logical mind. This is not what I'm talking about. But instead allow for the feelings, for the emotions, and for the right mind, for the imagination to play just as an active part. So both of them there should be an interplay. I have a bunch of books. If you live in Europe, I'd be happy to send you one. Just let me know and I will, or write your email and I will send you one of these books. I'm not here to promote the book or anything. I just kind of hit me this morning that he talks about the same thing as Jose Silva. All right. I'm not going to waste your time. I promise this will be an immersive class. So today we're going to solve your, we're going to find a solution to your problem and help you make a decision. So we're going to do, as I said, there are roughly two options for decision making. One requires you to choose between two or more options. So you already have a choice. As an example, should I hire this person or that person? Should I sell my product for X or 2X? Should I enter Austria or Germany market, for example, right? So these are options. And the second type of decision making is when we are looking for a solution that we don't know the answer of, right? So I need to decide something, I need to move forward, but I don't really know how. So what I'd like you to do, first of all, do you have any questions until now? No. Okay. So what I'd like you to do is to take a few minutes and write down a question for both of these types of solutions, something that you want to work on today, decisions that you need to make. Option one, they can be different questions. So option number one is I need to make a decision between this and this and this. It can be more than two options. And the second option is I need to find a creative solution for whatever problem. And please try to state it clearly, like ask the question clearly. I'm going to pause the recording for anyone looking at the recording. You can pause as well until you write your question. You seem ready. Can you give me a sign, Felicia? Are you ready? Yes. DG also ready. Okay, fantastic. Ready. Okay. So, in order for us now to make this decision, I assume that you have knowledge about the subject matter, and it is important to you. It has to be not something random that you want to decide out of curiosity that has no bearing for you. The reason it has to be important to you to a certain degree, not the most important thing, but you know, the more important, the more engaged your mind will become, your creativity will become to give you an answer. So it is important then that you really ask a question that you want to know genuinely. It's an important topic for you. It doesn't necessarily need to be related to business. It can be relationships. It can be anything. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go in a sort of a meditation. I'm going to lead you in alpha. We're going to relax. And then we're going to use first one technique to answering ABC. I'm just going to assume you have 3 options because otherwise it becomes very long. But if you have many options to answer, to decide between, you can continue. When you replay this video, you can continue and continue the process with the same options. For the other technique that requires a creative solution, we're going to do it now, so you will not need to repeat the process. Although, of course, if you repeat it, it will give you more insights. The more you dwell in alpha and work in alpha, the more in touch you are with your intuition naturally. So you'll be able, your mind gets trained to stay in this level more often. So you become like these 10% people that naturally make decisions in alpha. So the more you practice this, the more in touch you become with your centered thinking, this glued space between the right and the left hemisphere that has access to all kinds of information that your mind contains, and actually that your subjective perception contains, that you have not processed objectively, logically. You haven't noticed it, but your subconsciousness has recorded it. Okay. So we're going to start by sitting up straight or laying down and taking deep breaths. Close your eyes. And as you have your eyes closed, roll your eyes up towards your eyebrows like this, but and close your eyes. So imagine that your eyes are looking towards your eyebrows under your lids. And I'm going to play you alpha beat, that is alpha sound. I hope you can hear it. You'll be able to hear it. This will help you for 5 minutes to attune your brain to this level of relaxation. I'm hoping you can hear it. So keep taking deep breaths. And now I'm going to count from 3 to 1. And with each count, visualize the number in front of you. Take a deep breath. 3. Take another deep breath. 2. And another deep breath. 1. And now recall a memory of yours, a few seconds of a memory where you were completely relaxed, where everything around you was perfect. Maybe you were somewhere in nature. And I'd like you to stay in a few moments, like replay this scene where you felt connected, in touch. And as you're seeing this picture, imagine that this memory is coming closer and closer to you. You can even use your physical hands to draw it to you, as if it were a balloon. So take your physical hands and draw this picture towards you. And move your feet inside the balloon. First the right foot, then the left foot. Make a step, actual physical step in this imaginary balloon. Now start looking around in this memory of yours. Look behind your back. Notice something that you hadn't seen before. Look to your right. Your subconsciousness has recorded everything, so you can throw your attention far away from your physical view, what you were able to see, but you'd be able to see what was there, let's say behind the building or behind the tree, if you wanted to. Now do the same with the hearing. Recall what you were hearing in this memory. And again, try to hear noises that came from the left, from the back, from the right, further ahead of you. Now try to recall the smells. And keep breathing. Now recall the feeling on your skin. Recall the clothes you were wearing and how they felt on your skin. Recall the temperature, if there was a breeze, if it was raining. Recall the taste in your mouth, or what you were thinking of eating, or what you had just eaten before. Now focus on your heart and recall the exact feeling you had, the feeling of joy, peace, however you define this feeling of the ideal state that you had. All right. I'm going to stop the alphabet. Keep your eyes closed. And now, in front of you, we're going to open a screen, an imaginary screen. But we're not going to project anything in front of it. It's just blank right now. So I'd like you to ask your question with the options that asks you to decide. And I would like you to see, now start projecting each of the options one by one. And pay attention to all the key players, everybody who is involved, all the circumstances, everything you know about it. Replay all the options one by one. And replaying means visualize. If you cannot visualize, think them in your mind. So what do the options entail? You don't need to make it too long because you already know everything about it and it can come as an insight. One option can come as an overall insight. So now what I'd like you to do, after you've replayed all the options, do you need more time for that? No, you've replayed all the options. So now I would like you to distract your attention with something completely different. Visualize your child or your dog or the ants you saw recently, anything different than the question that you have. Distract yourself for about 30 seconds. Distract yourself. Now you're thinking about something completely different. Okay? And now quickly ask the question again. Which choice is better? And see it flash in front of your eyes. The first option that came to you is the correct one. It is the insight that your combined subjective and objective minds give you as the best option. So you go with this one. Yeah, make sure you memorize it. All right, so this is your answer. This is the technique for finding the right choice, choosing between options. Now we're going to go, see, it was quite fast. This is a fast technique. The long part is only relaxing and going in alpha. But the decision-making technique is quite easy. And also the technique, the exact technique is not so important as to use subjective techniques next to the objective ones. So you can make up your own technique later on. I'm just giving you something to work with, but it is important to work with the subjective mind in whatever manner. Okay, now we're going to go with the problem-solving technique. So for which we don't have a clear option yet. We need to find the solution. All right. So again, start taking deep breaths. and open a screen in front of you. And on this screen, start calling in all the key people and everything you know as circumstances about the problem. And I would like you to have a conversation with every one of them, one by one, and to get insights through this mind-to-mind communication, subjective communication, with each of the key players in this problem. So take time to lead the conversations. Let's say take 3, 4, 5 minutes for that. Give you 1 more minute for that. Have a conversation with each of the key players. See their insights. The way you have a conversation is simply as if you're talking in your imagination to the person. If no people are involved, talk to yourself as if you're looking at yourself in the mirror. I forgot to say that. If no people are involved, talk to yourself. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we have 2 options now from this point on. One of the options is that we cannot make a decision right now. We cannot find a solution to this problem right now, but the solution will have to be reached at a future event, at a meeting, at a conversation. Maybe you need to meet somebody to reach a common decision. In this case, I would like you to put your 3 fingers, the tips of your 3 fingers together, thumb, pointing finger and middle finger, put them together. Like in India, they call this, I don't know, some sort of a mudra, but it is a reference point body-mind connection. So what we'll do is we'll make an encoding, and our mind will connect directly to the movement of the body, of connecting these three fingers, and will impart, when needed, the command. So now we are going to record the command to these three fingers, and the command will be released at the right time. So what we're doing while you're now in alpha, just encode yourself, which is repeat to yourself, say it a few times to yourself, that you will automatically know the solution. You will automatically know the right words to say. You will automatically know the right thing to do when the time for decision comes. Repeat it a few times with your own words. And also add that the solution that you will present will be for the benefit of all involved. So what you will do once you're at this point of decision in a future date, at the meeting or whenever you need to make the decision, is you're going to put your three fingers together, and you're going to trust that the right information, the right insight will come to you in the course of conversation, of action, of developing of this event. Okay, now we are going to continue with the second option, which is that you need to find, or you have found the solution right now. You're able to find the solution right now, not at a future date, but you're able to find the solution right now after all the conversations that you've had with the subjective minds of other people or of yourself. So what we're going to do is we are going to logically create, visualize a situation in the future that we would like to we would like it to develop in this way. So a bit to the left of your perception, until now you were talking to the people in front of you. A bit to the left of your perception, I would like you to, with your imagination, take 2-3 steps towards the solution that you have identified. What do you need to do for this solution to come about? Imagine this. And now move your attention even further to the left. Even further to the left, and see the solution effect. It's completed. It's now done. What do you see? Who is there in the scene, in this scenario? And try to plug in all of your senses. This is how you are communicating to your subjective mind and making it believable to you. Not only that, but let's not go into, how should I say, the realm of energy, because you know, we're still focusing on reason, although this goes beyond reason. Okay. It's not beyond, it's just that people don't know about it. All right. Now we're going to come out of this state and believe with the feeling that it's all done. The solution is there, it's found, it will happen. So the way we come out of alpha is similar to the way we come in alpha. I'm just going to count upwards, but instead of 1 to 3, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. And you can imagine how you're appearing from the depths of your consciousness, as if you're swimming out of water, let's say. You're coming out and you're going to open your eyes and feel completely awake when I say 5. So take a deep breath. 1. And again. 2. 3. Prepare to open your eyes and to feel better than before in every area of your life. 4. And 5. Open your eyes and feel better than before in every area of your life. I hope that this was pleasant. This is, in any case, very good for the nervous system. So whenever you're practicing it, you'll feel better, no matter what you're doing, even if you do it for 5 minutes, just to relax your neurology. For sure, you're going to make better decisions, because we all know that stress inhibits clear thinking. So something that I have not mentioned, but I did promise that I will talk about, is decision making in a group. In this setting, I cannot show you practically how it is done, but if your team members are trained to go in alpha with this method, you can use any technique such as these that I shared to go one by one, to ask them to share in a group and make a common decision like this. And the decisions made in a group are ingenious. I have actually trained people in groups since 2020, so 4 years. And the group insights are phenomenal, by the way, because it's not only the use of your subjective mind, but it also makes use of like swarm intelligence. So it's definitely useful, and it also increases team coherence if you have any conflicts in the group. Once you go together in alpha, you will see how these will be very, very quickly resolved. All right. I will be sending you a short presentation with the step-by-step description of what we just did, so you can follow it, and I'll be sending you the recording. Also, if you'd like to stay and ask me questions, we'll make a short break of like 2-3 minutes. And if you'd like to stay and ask me questions and I can tell you more about my programs, you're welcome to stay. Otherwise, I'm going to send you all the information. And thank you very much.